Manhattan is all glass and glare tonight. In the Walker Fashion Group tower, the studios stay lit long past midnight, and every desk is a battlefield of swatches, pins, and coffee rings. Celia Cole finishes the final adjustment on the last look of the signature line. Her hands shake from 3 sleepless nights, but her mouth still curves into a tired smile. This series is her secret love letter, stitched into seams and silhouettes, built from the memory of late nights with Kellen Walker, and the way his eyes soften when he watches her work. The door to the main conference room clicks open. "Celia, come here." Kellen's voice is flat, cold enough to make the air feel thinner. Celia swallows and walks fast, her heels tapping like a warning she cannot translate. When she pushes the door, she stops dead. The room is full. Executives, legal, the core design team, assistants pressed to the back wall. The mood is so heavy it sits on her shoulders like wet wool. Kellen stands at the center, jaw locked, eyes dark. "Kellen, what is going on?" Celia asks. Her voice tries to sound calm. It fails. He does not answer. He flicks his wrist. A stack of printed pages slaps against Celia's chest, then rains to the floor like pale birds. She looks down, and her stomach drops. Her designs, the signature sketches, technical sheets. Next to them, emails labeled as a thread with Thorne Couture, signed with her name. A hush spreads, sharp and hungry. Kellen takes one step closer. His gaze is a blade. "Do you have anything you want to tell me?" he asks. Celia bends and gathers the pages, hands clumsy. The paper feels wrong in her grip, like it belongs to someone else. She reads one line, then another, and the room tilts. "This is not real," she says. "These emails are fake." Kellen laughs once, humorless. "Fake," he repeats. "Right. You think I am stupid." Celia looks around. Some faces avoid her eyes. Some stare like she is a wreck they cannot look away from. No one speaks. "Kellen, please," she says. "You know me. You know I would never leak anything. I would never betray you." His mouth tightens at that word. "Betray," he says, and the syllable is a bruise. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. "You want proof?" he asks. "Fine. Here is proof." He taps the screen. A recording plays through the room's speaker. A woman's voice, close to Celia's, but sharper, greedier. It says her name. It names her designs. It bargains. It talks about price, about revenge, about how Kellen deserves it. Celia's lungs refuse to work for a second. When she can breathe again, she shakes her head hard. "That is not me," she says. "That is not my voice." Kellen's eyes do not move. "It is close enough," he says. "And the emails are from your account. And the files match your folder structure. So tell me, Celia, what is it? Money? Ego? Or did you just get tired of being the loyal genius behind my name?" The room watches her like a jury. Celia steps forward, pages trembling in her hands. "I am not behind your name," she says. "We built this together. I chose you. I chose this company. I chose us." Kellen's face hardens. "You chose access," he snaps. "You chose my resources, my platform, my reputation. Do not insult me with the word love." Celia flinches as if he slapped her. "Kellen," she whispers. "Please, look at me." He stares straight through her. Effective immediately. He says, loud enough for every corner of the room to hear. "You are terminated. Your keycard is cancelled. Your access to all files is revoked. Security will escort you out." A sound escapes Celia that she does not recognize. It is not a cry. It is a breath breaking. Someone in the back shifts. No one intervenes. Celia's throat burns. She tries one last time, because her heart is stubborn. "This is a setup," she says. "Avery Thorne hates you. He always has. He is using your fear, and you are letting him." Kellen's eyes flash. "Do not say his name like you know anything," he says. "I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And I know you." The last sentence is the cruelest. Celia stands very still. The paper in her hand stops shaking. Something inside her goes quiet, the way a candle goes out when the air is gone. She looks at him, at the man she has loved for 3 years, and she sees a stranger wearing his face. "Okay," she says, voice rough. "I will go." Kellen blinks, as if he expects a fight. Celia drops the pages back to the floor. She turns, walks out, and never looks at the room again. In the hallway, she hears the whispers start. They follow her like shadows. A guard waits at the elevator, eyes awkward, hands polite. Celia does not speak. She rides down in silence. Outside, rain slams into the sidewalk, hard and cold. Manhattan's lights smear in the wet like paint dragged across glass. Celia steps into it without an umbrella, without a coat, without a plan. The rain soaks her hair, her blouse, her skin. It does not reach the numbness. She walks away from the building where she gave her talent, her nights, her love, and she feels something tear inside her, and finally stop bleeding, because it has nothing left. Celia's apartment is small, warm in the way cheap heating tries to be. Tonight it feels like a box that cannot hold her grief. She stands in the bathroom, water dripping from her hair onto the sink, and stares at her own face as if she is trying to confirm she still exists. Her phone buzzes. Messages. Missed calls. Names from the company. Names from people who want gossip, not truth. Kellen's name does not appear. That absence lands heavier than the rain. Celia slides down the wall and sits on the tile. She presses her palms against her eyes until she sees stars. 3 years. She remembers meeting Kellen in the university studio, the first time he told her lines were brutally honest. She remembers the night he asked her to join him after graduation, when he had nothing but sketches and ambition, and a borrowed office. She remembers the way he looked at her like she was the only safe place he had. She remembers choosing him over a brand name offer, because she believed in him, and because she believed he believed in her. Tonight he proves she is wrong. A knock breaks the silence. Celia does not move at first. The knock comes again, faster, sharper, like someone trying to punch through the door with sound. She opens it. Myra Petro stands there in a leather jacket, hair pulled back, eyes fierce. Myra's camera bag hangs from one shoulder, like she came straight from shooting, like she had no time to become gentle. Celia, Myra says, and the anger in her voice is almost a relief. Tell me you did not let that man destroy you in one night. Celia tries to speak. Her throat locks. Her face crumples instead, and the sob hits her before she can stop it. Myra curses under her breath and steps inside, wrapping her arms around Celia so tight Celia cannot fall apart any further. He did this in front of everyone? Myra asks, voice shaking with rage. Celia nods into Myra's shoulder. He said I betrayed him. Celia whispers. He said I wanted his power. He said I did not love him. He looked at me like I was poison. Myra's arms tighten. Kellen Walker is a talented idiot, she says. And that is me being kind. Celia pulls back, wiping her face with the back of her hand. Her eyes feel raw. I tried, she says. I tried to make him see. He would not. He already decided. He already hated me. Myra sets her bag down and looks at Celia like a commander assessing a battlefield. Then you stop bleeding on his floor. Myra says. You breathe, you eat, you sleep, and you decide what you want. Celia laughs once, broken. What I want is gone, she says. Myra's eyes soften for a second, then harden again. No, she says. What you wanted was real. What he did was cowardice. Those are not the same thing. The next week crawls by in slow motion. Celia does not return calls. She does not open her laptop. She does not look at the fashion news that is surely devouring her name. She sits on the couch and watches sunlight move across the wall like a time lapse she cannot join. On the 7th, she opens a travel site and buys a one-way ticket. Paris. Not because she believes Paris will heal her like magic, but because she needs distance so wide Kellen cannot cross it with one apology or one smile. She writes Myra a letter with shaking hands. I am leaving. Do not look for me. Do not let him find me. I need to be someone without his shadow. She does not tell Myra the date. She cannot handle the goodbye scene. She cannot handle her own softness. When she packs, she finds the first gift Kellen ever gave her, a minimalist steel pen. He bought it with his first freelance check, and told her he wanted her to sign the future with it. Celia holds it for a long time. She cries once, silently. Then she puts it into her suitcase, not because it means forgiveness, but because it means she was capable of love, and she refuses to let his cruelty erase that truth. The morning she leaves, New York is bright and clear. The sky is the wrong kind of beautiful. Celia drags her suitcase through the building lobby and steps into the street, without looking back. Every step feels like cutting a thread. By the time she reaches the rideshare, her chest is hollow. It hurts less that way. She rides to JFK with her hands folded in her lap, staring at the highway like it is an exit sign that might finally work. In her pocket, her boarding pass is crisp, final, and merciful. The show goes on. Walker Fashion Group launches the new collection in a flood of cameras, champagne, and applause. The stage lights turn fabric into fire. The crowd cheers when the models hit the runway. Kellen smiles at the right moments, shakes the right hands, speaks into the microphones with practiced confidence. But behind the curtain, the studio feels like a room after a fight. Quiet. Sharp edges everywhere. The signature looks that Celia designed are missing. The audience does not know what they are missing, but Kellen does. Every time the spotlight hits an empty space where Celia's work should be, something tightens in his chest. After the show, he tells himself he did the right thing. He tells himself that while his assistant schedules interviews and his executives celebrate, he can ignore the way his eyes keep drifting to Celia's old desk, as if she might be there, hunched over fabric with her hair pinned up, humming under her breath. 3 days later, his certainty breaks. His executive assistant, Jordan, comes into his office with a pale face and a hard drive in hand. "We were reviewing the security feeds," Jordan says. "There is something you need to see." Kellen's fingers curl around his coffee cup. "Show me." Jordan plugs in the drive. The screen fills with grainy footage from the studio quarter. Timestamp the night before the accusation. A man in a maintenance jacket slips into Celia's office. He carries a slim laptop. He looks around, moves fast, knows exactly where to go. He stays for 28 minutes. Then he leaves, hood up, hands empty but posture lighter. Kellen feels the blood drain from his face. "Who is that?" he asks. Jordan swallows. "We tracked him," Jordan says. "He is on contract. He also does side work for Thorne Couture." The words hit like a punch. Kellen stands so fast his chair scrapes the floor. "No," he says. "That cannot be enough." Jordan slides a folder onto his desk. "There is more," Jordan says. "We pulled metadata. The emails were routed through a spoofed server. The audio file was generated through a voice model. The chain of custody is dirty." Kellen stares at the folder, and his heart starts to pound in a way that feels like warning, not adrenaline. "Where did you get this?" Kellen asks. Jordan hesitates. "From the IT team," he says. "And from a private investigator we hired quietly, because some of us were not comfortable with how fast you made the call." Kellen's jaw tightens. Anger flares, then collapses into something worse. He opens the folder. Photos. Screenshots. A signed statement from a frightened assistant of Avery Thorne. Another clip showing the assistant leaving the building with a thumb drive. A confession, recorded, voice trembling. Avery wanted to ruin the show. Avery wanted to break Kellen. Avery wanted Celia, or at least her talent. Avery wanted to isolate her, make her desperate, then offer her a rescue that was really a cage. Kellen's vision blurs. He does not notice when his hand starts shaking until coffee spills on the desk. Jordan speaks again, quieter. "There is one more thing," he says. "Celia met with someone from Thorne Couture a week before the show. Not officially. Off-site. We found it on traffic cameras. It looks like she confronted them." Kellen's stomach twists. "Why would she do that?" he asks, voice hoarse. Jordan flips another page. "Because she suspected something," he says. "Because she saw a breach in the file system. Because she tried to stop it." Kellen reads the final line on the page, and the world narrows to a tunnel. There was an incident. Celia was followed, cornered outside a fabric warehouse in Queens. A witness reports she was threatened. A witness reports she refused to hand over anything. A witness reports she got away only because a delivery driver intervened. Kellen's throat closes. She never told him. She protected him even while he prepared to destroy her. His mind replays the conference room, the paper hitting her, the way her face drained of color, the way she begged him to look at her. He remembers calling her love. An insult. He remembers ordering security like she was a criminal. He remembers her saying, "Okay, I will go," in a voice so dead it should have scared him. It did not. It should have. Kellen presses a hand to his mouth. His eyes burn. "I did this," he whispers. Jordan does not answer. He does not have to. Kellen grabs his phone and calls Celia. Straight to voicemail. He tries again. Blocked. He calls Myra Petro, because Myra always knows where the truth is hiding. Myra answers on the second ring, voice sharp. "If you are calling to justify what you did, save it," she says. "Myra," Kellen says, and the sound of his own voice shocks him. "I was wrong. I was set up. I have proof. Where is she?" Silence. Then Myra laughs, a short ugly sound. "Now you have proof," she says. "How convenient." "Myra, please," Kellen says. "Tell me." "You do not get to use the word please like it erases the way you humiliated her," Myra says. "You broke her in public. You made her feel disposable. And now you want her back, because you finally bothered to verify your own rage. Kellen closes his eyes. Where is she? He asks again, quieter. Myra exhales. She is leaving. She says. She already left the apartment. She is going to Paris. Kellen's chest caves in. When? He asks. Myra's voice is ice. Today, she says. And she does not want you. She told me to protect her from you. The line goes dead. Kellen stands in the middle of his office, breathing like he has been underwater too long. Paris. A one-way ticket. The image of an airport flashes in his mind. Crowded gates, departure boards, doors closing. He runs. He does not tell anyone. He does not grab a coat. He does not plan. He barrels out of his office, down the stairs because the elevator feels too slow, into the lobby, into the street. His driver scrambles to keep up. Kellen, where are we going? The driver shouts. Kellen yanks open the car door and drops into the back seat. JFK. He says. Now. The car surges into traffic. Kellen stares out at the city, and for the first time in years, he feels truly powerless. He built an empire. He controlled runways and headlines. He believed he could control his own life. But there is one thing he cannot control now. Time. And time is taking Celia away. JFK is a machine built to swallow people and spit them into the sky. The terminal hums with rolling suitcases, paging announcements, crying children, and the constant scrape of hurry. Screens flash departures in neat lines that feel like verdicts. Kellen pushes through the sliding doors like a man on fire. His shirt clings to his back. His hands are damp. His pulse is loud in his ears. He calls Jordan on speaker. Find her flight. He says. Now. I do not care how. Jordan's voice crackles through the phone, strained. I am working on it. He says. Give me 2 minutes. Kellen does not have 2 minutes. He has a lifetime of regret and a clock that will not stop. He runs past check-in counters, past security ropes, past people who stare at his expensive suit and wild eyes. Someone calls out, recognizing him. A phone lifts to record. He does not slow. He clears security in a blur, belt in his hand, shoes half on, moving on pure panic. Celia. He whispers, and the name tastes like apology. He scans faces. He sees strangers, families, couples, business travelers. A woman with Celia's hair color turns, and he lunges, then stops when he sees her eyes are wrong. He keeps running. He tries to breathe through the stitch in his side. He tries to focus through the pounding in his skull. His phone vibrates. A message from Jordan. Paris flight. Boarding. Gate A18. Departs in 20. Kellen's legs nearly give out, not from exhaustion, but from the sudden surge of hope sharp enough to cut. A18. He mutters and takes off again. He sprints down the corridor, past duty-free stores that blur into color, past airport staff who shout for him to slow down. He dodges a luggage cart. He almost slips. He does not care. He sees the sign for a gates. He turns hard, nearly crashing into a couple. He does not apologize. Ahead, the gate number signs tick upward like a cruel count. A 12, a 14, a 16, A18. He sees the boarding lane. He sees the line moving. He sees a woman with a suitcase, shoulder squared, posture calm in a way that feels like surrender. Celia. For a second, Kellen cannot move. His body refuses to believe his eyes. Then Celia takes one step forward in the line, and the spell breaks. Celia. He shouts. Heads turn. People murmur. A phone camera pivots toward them like a predator. Celia freezes. For a heartbeat, Kellen thinks she might turn and look at him, really look. He wants that more than air. But she does not turn. She walks faster. Panic rips through him. No. He says, voice cracking. No, wait. He pushes through the line, ignoring protests, ignoring the gate agent's raised hand. Celia, please. He reaches her, grabs her arm, and the contact shocks him. Her skin is warm, real, alive. She jerks, then goes still, and that stillness is worse than any scream. Kellen steps behind her and wraps his arms around her as if he can hold her to the earth. Do not go, he says into her shoulder. I am begging you. I am sorry. I was wrong. I was set up. I have proof. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. I did the opposite. I know. I know. Please do not leave. Celia's voice comes out calm, too calm. Let go of me, Kellen, she says. Kellen tightens his grip like a drowning man. I cannot, he says. If you walk away, I will never deserve forgiveness, but I will still need it. I will still need you. Celia, I love you. Celia's shoulders lift with a breath that sounds like pain. You love me. She repeats, and there is no warmth in it. You did not love me when you threw those papers at my face. You did not love me when you called me a liar in front of everyone. You did not love me when you had security escort me like I was trash. Kellen flinches. I was blinded. He says. I was afraid. I have been betrayed before, and I saw ghosts and I made you pay for them. I hate myself for it. Celia turns in his arms and finally looks at him. Her eyes are dry. That is what scares him most. I was afraid too, she says. I was afraid you would not believe me. And you proved I was right. Kellen's hands tremble. I have proof now. He says. Avery did it. He forged it. He used a voice model. He sent someone into your office. Myra told me you were threatened. You were hurt. And you never told me. You were protecting the work and protecting me, and I punished you. Celia's expression flickers, a tiny crack. Then it hardens again. You think proof fixes it, she says. You think the truth makes your words disappear. I do not think that. Kellen says. His voice breaks. I know it does not. I know what I said cannot be taken back. I know what I did is inside you now, like a scar. I am not asking you to forget. I am asking you to let me try to make it right. Even if it takes the rest of my life. Celia pulls her arm free, slow and deliberate, like she is choosing to cut a cord. People watch. A child points. The gate agent looks uncertain, torn between policy and spectacle. Celia lifts her boarding pass. Kellen, she says, and her voice finally shakes. Your love is not a weapon you can throw after you have already fired. It is too late. She steps toward the jet bridge. Kellen's body moves without permission. He drops to his knees. The floor is cold. The humiliation is hot. He does not care. Cameras capture it. People gasp. Someone mutters, that is Kellen Walker. Kellen looks up at Celia, eyes burning. I am sorry. He says. I am so sorry. I do not deserve you. I do not deserve a second chance. But I am asking anyway, because losing you is worse than any punishment. Please, Celia. Please. Celia stands at the threshold, her suitcase handle clenched in her fist. For a moment, her face twists, like the grief wants to win. Kellen holds his breath. Then Celia turns away. She walks into the jet bridge, posture straight, head high, and disappears. The door closes. Kellen stays on the floor, kneeling, staring at the empty space where she was. His chest caves in. He has never felt smaller. He has never felt more alive with regret. He whispers her name into the noise of the airport, but the airport does not answer. It only keeps moving. 2 days later, Kellen steps off a plane into Paris and realizes distance is a lie. He thought the flight would give him clarity. He thought the sky would wash him clean. Instead, every hour in the air only sharpens the image of Celia's face when she walked away at the gate. He checks into a hotel near the Seine and does not sleep. At dawn, he finds Celia's new company addressed through Myra, through favors, through the kind of persistence that used to build brands and now builds penance. Celia works as a design lead for a mid-size atelier that values quiet talent over headlines. She arrives early. She leaves late. She keeps her head down. She builds a new life stitch by stitch, like a seam that refuses to unravel. And every day, Kellen waits outside. The first morning he brings coffee and a croissant from a bakery he asks 3 people to recommend. He stands under a gray sky, hands tied around a paper bag, heart hammering like he is back in the terminal. Celia walks out of the metro station, scarf tucked into her coat, hair pulled back. She sees him. Her steps falter for half a beat. Then she keeps walking as if he is a street sign. Kellen moves to intercept, careful, not grabbing her, not touching. Celia. He says. Please, just let me talk. Celia does not stop. We have nothing to talk about. She says. I am not here to explain. Kellen says. I am here to listen. Celia finally turns, eyes cold. Listen. She says. Okay, listen to this. When you accused me, I felt like my skin turned inside out. I felt like I had been stripped in front of strangers. I felt stupid for ever believing you would protect me. Kellen swallows hard. I know. He says. You do not know. Celia snaps. You know facts. You do not know what it does to a person when the one they love looks at them like they are disposable. Kellen's eyes shine. Tell me. He says. Tell me all of it. I will take it. Celia stares at him for a long time, then laughs once, bitter. This is not a performance. She says. You do not get to stand outside my job like a tragic hero. Go back to New York. I cannot. Kellen says. I will not. Celia turns away again. Kellen holds out the bag anyway. She ignores it. That becomes the pattern. Every day, Kellen shows up. Sometimes with flowers that end up in the trash. Sometimes with soup when the weather turns raw. Sometimes with nothing but his own presence, hands in his pockets, shoulders hunched, waiting. Celia refuses him in different ways. Silent walks past. Sharp words. Flat stare. He does not argue. He does not raise his voice. He does not demand. He learns patience because he has no other choice. He rents a small apartment instead of a suite, because luxury feels obscene when he is asking for mercy. Celia sees the news online and feels nothing at first. Then she feels a small breath of relief, like a tight band loosening by one notch. Myra visits Paris in late fall. She drags Celia to a cafe and watches her stir sugar into espresso she does not drink. He looks terrible, Myra says, glancing out the window. In a good way, like regret finally found him. Celia does not smile. He deserves worse, she says. Myra nods. He does. She agrees. But you deserve peace. And whether you forgive him or not, he is here. He is not performing. He is changing. I have known him long enough to know he hates being powerless, and he has been powerless for months. He stays anyway. Celia's spoon clinks against the cup. I do not know if I can trust him, she whispers. Myra reaches across the table and squeezes her hand. You do not have to decide today, Myra says. You just have to be honest with yourself about what you feel. That night, Celia walks home alone through streets that smell like rain and bread. She sees Kellen on the opposite sidewalk, keeping his distance like he promised. He does not approach. He just watches to make sure she reaches her building safely. Celia pauses under a street lamp. Kellen looks up, hope flaring in his eyes, cautious and raw. Celia does not wave. She does not speak. But she does not turn away either. The space between them is still wide, but for the first time, it is not infinite. Kellen exhales, and Celia hears it like a confession. Paris is not far enough to erase the past. But maybe it is far enough to build something new, if she can survive the fear of trying. Paris winter arrives quietly, then all at once. The air turns sharp. The sky stays low. Snow falls in thin, persistent threads that make the city look softer than it feels. Celia works harder than ever. She tells herself ambition is safer than memory. She tells herself deadlines do not lie, and fabric does not betray. But some nights, when she climbs the stairs to her apartment, she finds her thoughts waiting for her at the landing. She thinks about Kellen outside the office, the way he never forces her. She thinks about how he looks at her now, like she is not a possession, but a person whose boundaries are sacred. She hates that it matters. On her birthday, she stays late at the atelier, finishing a sketch that will not cooperate. When she finally shuts her laptop, the building is nearly empty. She steps outside into the cold and pulls her coat tighter. Kellen is there. He stands near the curb, snow dusting his shoulders, hands holding a small cake box like it is fragile enough to shatter. He looks exhausted. He looks determined. He looks like a man who has run out of pride and learned to live without it. Celia, he says, voice hoarse. Happy birthday. Celia freezes. She did not tell him the date. Myra did, she realizes. Or Kellen remembered from some old calendar, some old tenderness. She takes a slow breath. You should not be here, she says. I know, Kellen says. But I did not want today to pass without telling you I am grateful you are alive. The words land in her chest, heavy and strange. Kellen opens the box and lifts the lid. Inside is a simple cake, slightly uneven, decorated with clumsy frosting, and one crooked candle. I made it, he says. It is probably terrible, but I wanted to do something with my hands, not with money. Celia stares at the cake. It is ridiculous. It is sincere. Her throat tightens. She reaches out and takes the box. The cardboard is warm from his hands. For a second, Kellen looks like he might cry, but he holds himself still. Thank you, Celia says, surprised by her own voice. Kellen swallows. There is something else, he says. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small ring box. His fingers shake as he opens it. Inside is a minimalist ring, clean lines, brushed metal, a style that echoes the pen he once gave her. Celia's breath catches. I bought it a long time ago, Kellen says. Before the show, before I destroyed us. I kept it because I did not want to pretend the past did not happen, but I also did not want the future to die without ever being offered. He looks at her, eyes wet, honest. I am not asking you to forgive me overnight, he says. I am not asking you to erase the scar. I am asking for a chance to earn trust again, one day at a time. I will be patient. I will be careful. I will do the work. Please, Celia, let me try. Celia stares at the ring, then at his face. She remembers the conference room, the papers, the way his voice cut. She remembers the airport floor, the way he knelt like a man who finally understood the weight of what he had done. She remembers the months of waiting outside her office, the way he learned to listen without defending himself. Her heart feels split down the middle, love on one side, fear on the other, both bleeding. She squeezes the cake box tighter, grounding herself in the ridiculousness of frosting and cardboard. Kellen, she says softly, I can give you one chance. Kellen's eyes widen. His whole body leans forward, like he is afraid a breath will break the moment. But, Celia says, and the word is a shield. But I have a condition. Kellen nods fast, desperate. Anything. He says. Tell me. Celia lifts her chin. I need time, she says. I need time to stop flinching when I remember your voice in that room. I need time to believe you will not punish me again when you are afraid. In that time, we are not engaged. We are not a couple. We are friends, and you prove you can be safe. Kellen's throat moves as he swallows. I can do that, he says. I will do that. Celia's eyes burn, but she refuses to look away. And if you ever humiliate me again, she says, voice steady. If you ever question my integrity without evidence, if you ever use your power to corner me, then it ends. Completely. No chasing. No speeches. No kneeling. You let me go. Kellen nods, a tear slipping down his cheek. I swear it, he says. I will never do that again. Celia exhales, and the breath turns into a small cloud in the cold air. She looks past him at the street, at the snow, at the city that has held her grief and her healing. She cannot promise the scar will fade. She cannot promise trust will be easy. But she can promise honesty. Okay, she says. Then we start with today. Kellen lets out a shaky laugh that sounds like relief and pain at once. Today, he repeats, and he does not touch her. He does not reach for her. He only stands close enough to share the falling snow, eyes locked on hers like he is learning how to love her without claiming her. Celia turns the cake box in her hands and studies the crooked candle. One condition, she says again, and her mouth lifts, small but real. You have to admit you are bad at baking. Kellen blinks, then laughs, genuine and relieved. I am terrible, he admits. But I am willing to practice, as long as you let me stay in your life. Celia shakes her head, half exasperated, half softened. Friends, she reminds him. Kellen's smile steadies. Friends, he agrees. For now. They walk slowly toward her building, side by side, leaving two sets of footprints in the snow. The past does not disappear. But in the quiet space between their steps, something new begins to form. Built from careful choices instead of control, and from truth instead of fear. For the first time since the night of the accusation, Celia feels a thin thread of hope hold. The end.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.